This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing,
Cuomo.
people could die.
Mr. Mamdani, want to respond?
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, I just came here from November 4th, 2025. I time traveled 1 week just to let you know Zohran Mamdani has won the New York City mayoral election. He completely obliterated establishmentarian baby boomer candidate Andrew Cuomo, and he did it by doing it his way. All right, folks, maybe that's not true, but I'm so confident that I'm dropping this video in advance of the election because I am so sure he's going to win. He's so far ahead in the polls, it's a done deal. Now, what people are going to be doing is searching, who is Zohran Mamdani? Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about his background and his life story, but what I like to do in these videos is I like to talk about people and businesses' major goals, their strategies, and the execution that they use to reach very lofty, very ambitious goals so that you can be inspired in your goal-seeking objectives. And at the end of this video, I have a section called the takeaway, and that's where you can skip, but I recommend you don't. That's where that's where you can skip and you can find out what the big takeaway is. What's the biggest lesson you can get from Zohran Mamdani? Just a real quick overview. And not since Barack Obama have we had an African immigrant politician shake up the political status quo the way we've seen with Zohran Mamdani. But I think he's more of the real deal than Obama. Obama turned out to be very establishmentarian and pretty much just a good mouthpiece. But I really am confident that Zohran Mamdani is going to be different. So with that said, let's talk about a bit of his background. He is an immigrant from Uganda. He came to the United States, to New York City, as a child, and he grew up in Astoria, and he's the product of New York City public school system. And he has these parents from Uganda, yes, and he's originally, because a lot of people in Uganda have an Indian origin, so that's his background. It looks like he's able to speak Hindi quite well, or Urdu. And so, I'm really proud to see that someone who doesn't look like your typical politician with a typical politician name is making it big on the American political stage. So I don't want to go into his entire childhood and who his mother is and who his father is. You can Google that and find a lot of information, but let's just fast forward, cut to the chase. He ran a couple decades later for New York State Assembly. He did two things differently. Number one, he was not backed by Wall Street money. So unlike many New York political candidates backed by Wall Street money, he didn't have to be accountable to them. Instead, he wanted to be accountable just to the people. And he was powered by door knocking, neighbors, community organizers, and political activists. And he also, number two, was driven by this belief that politics don't have to be polite, they just have to be real. So he was not going to basically peddle the typical lines that you see most politicians push. And it was with that approach as an outsider, which many people have tried to pose, but I don't think he was posing, that got him success at that level. He decided to take it one more level up by running for New York City mayor. And what was really crazy about this is that he is part of this new wave of politicians who are openly identifying as Democratic Socialists, something that was kind of a curse word a while ago. But now people are saying it's not necessarily career suicide because people are tired of the establishment. So they're willing to look into different ways to approach social issues. That's why someone like him actually had a chance. What was his goal? Well, his goal was to be who he is and become a candidate for a major position like New York City mayor. And, he didn't have to whitewash his name or do anything like that, like you see a lot of people from the Indian subcontinent do. Instead, he said, look, I am running on basically socialist principles to a degree. And I am a Muslim. Yes, post 9/11, New York City, there's a lot of anti-Islamic, anti-Muslim bigotry, but you know what? That's who I am. Take it or leave it, like it, love it or hate it. I'm here and I'm running. So that's basically it. He was unapologetically being himself. And that was refreshing to people, and that's basically his goal. It's really simple. But the strategy is what we need to really focus on. You know, he's all about doing things your way and not letting yourself get blindsided by the competition. He had, again, two core principles. One, stay rooted in the neighborhood. So while others were going to boardrooms to fundraise, he was knocking on doors wearing, running shoes. And while others had a very soft message that would go well with the political establishment, with Wall Street, with boardrooms, he doubled down and said, we need to focus on housing rights. And also, he was showing that he had a pro-Palestinian stance as well. He was unapologetically supportive of freeing Palestine. And he also promoted immigrant issues and also public safety reform. All of these things would not work in more of a red state, but he is in New York City, and this is where he can actually have a chance. Number two, he also refused performative politics. He turned down alliances with lobbyist groups. Instead, he wanted to do it without the support of lobbyist groups because that would dilute his message and that would dilute his approach. The message was loud and clear. I am not for sale. And the best example of that was in the June 2025 New York City mayoral primary debate. If you remember, Zohran Mamdani was the only candidate who said, I'm not going to go anywhere. Everyone else was saying, I'm going to go to Israel because, we need to support our Jewish, constituency in New York. And he said, I greatly respect the Jewish community in New York City and support them 100%, and I will do that by staying in New York. I don't need to go to a foreign country to represent a foreign government, and that's just not even necessary. And that was very divisive, and there was a lot of people who were like, how dare you say something like that? But it went on social media, and the way social media is currently, they are very supportive of him. And that's what blindsided the establishmentarian baby boomer Andrew Cuomo and the likes of him. So let's talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We like to do a quick SWOT analysis. So he had grassroots authenticity, he had clear values, he had deep-rooted local ties, and he was not just a campaign, he was a movement. He was there to speak for the everyday person. So that was very refreshing. And that's not what other people were doing. They were just kind of on autopilot and just coasting on their name or their past reputation or just past legacy. And that's not what he did. So that was actually a strength. What was his weakness? Well, with that approach, you don't get funding. So he had a smaller funding pool. You don't get as much funding. He had fewer established endorsements. And it's easy to attack him with smear campaigns. But internally, that's a weakness. But that's also an external threat. So I kind of jumped ahead here, but excuse me. As for opportunities, you have voter fatigue with establishment politicians. So people are tired of career politicians. And so this opens up an opportunity for people like Zohran Mamdani. Let's try something different. There's also a strong immigrant base in New York that also helps him. And there's also a national political moment where people are craving realness. People were disappointed by where the country was heading, despite the election of Donald Trump and all the promises that he had, and the fact that people just don't trust anyone anymore in politics. Well, that's always been the case, but now more than ever. Now, what were the threats? We had political smears, and of course, there was no shortage of political smears by his opponents.
How do you know who the mayor will be? I don't know that. Do we know that?
He's going to be very fine, and who knows? We don't know who the mayor's going to be yet. But this is a communist. He's not a socialist. He's a communist, and he's said some really bad things about Jewish people, and he said some really bad things about a lot of people. And I think he's going through a little bit of a honeymoon right now, but he might make it.
And of course, there's party leadership backlash. If he doesn't toe the party line completely, he could also lose that support. And also there's media misframing. But social media, he was a master of. And whether that was by design or not, that is what carried him over into winning the New York City mayoral election. So this was a resilient strategy. Yes, he's the first to be who he is, to get to where he was. There was nobody like him before who got there. But he did it his own way, and it's a resilient strategy because it was basically sticking to your principles. So how did he execute? Well, with execution, we look at passion, habits, and discipline. First of all, passion, he definitely had it. There's no questioning. You see him on the debate stage, you see him going door to door, and those are some of his habits as well. So just segueing into habits, he did door knocking, organizing, showing up, and he had, basically he was under the eye of social media like no other New York mayoral candidate. And again, when you get social media visibility and you go viral, that's powerful. And discipline, well, he was consistent. He made this look effortless, but you know what? For sure, he was never asleep at the wheel. He was very consistent in his approach. So he had passion, he had good habits, and he definitely had discipline. So one way of putting it is, if you're the only one who's not shape-shifting to special interests, you become the anchor that everyone recognizes. So he became an icon because of that. So now we get to the takeaway. What's the big lesson? The biggest lesson here is that conviction is your compass. When you stand for something and you're very clear about what you stand for and you don't back down, that resonates with people. And it's also something that gives you inner power. So, you know, one thing that you should have as your mantra as you hit the pillow tonight is to think to yourself, I have to be myself and I have to be authentic. I know that sounds so simple and it doesn't sound like a groundbreaking takeaway, but to actually live it and to actually embody it is rare. So it's very good to imprint that and let Zohran Mamdani be an example for you when you're trying to achieve your goals. Remember, the loudest voice isn't the one with the biggest mic. It's the one who never changes his or her tune. If you enjoyed this video and it resonated with you, I promise to make more videos just like this, if not better. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow this channel. Look at how few we have in terms of followers. We're really trying to grow something here, do something different, do something unique, and do something to benefit society at large. I really want to do something that's helpful and beneficial to all people. So hit that subscribe button, get involved in the comments, all that stuff, you know, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. This is The Upside Scoop, and I'll see you in the next video.